Oahspe, Introduction Continued, Part 5. Oahspe is easily the most unique book in the English language. Its objective is formidable, for it states that within its pages it has herein made known the plan of the Creator's delightful creations for the resurrection of the peoples of the earth. Oahspe also states that the book's purpose is to teach mortals how to attain to hear the Creator's voice and to see his heavens in full consciousness while still living on the earth, and to know of the truth, the place and condition awaiting them after death. As awe-inspiring as the possibility of such a revelation may be, Oahspe reminds us that we should not worship this book, for it states, "Not infallible, immaculate is this book," Oahspe. We should therefore not allow ourselves to fall into the trap of making it into an inflexible rule book to be quoted chapter and verse, which would negate our fundamental obligation to think, to reason, and to grow. Rather, we should use this volume as a guide to further our own spiritual understanding and as a source for basic fundamental principles that can be used to shape and mold our future development. We are confident that there is enough substance within its pages to provide for our growth throughout our mortal lives and well beyond that as well. The text infers that the host of high-raised angelic beings who caused Oahspe to be written and published were commissioned specifically for that purpose by those above them who administer the higher heavens. Oahspe states that Earth is just one of countless planets in our universe inhabited by human beings. It also states that all planets follow a similar pattern of development, though the details differ substantially. Wherever humanity does arise, it eventually reaches a stage of development called cosmon, when spiritual and corporeal knowledge is ready to culminate into a state of natural maturity and balance. When this level of maturity is soon to begin evolving, near the commencement of this era, the angelic hosts provide information that will complement this evolutionary process for the benefit of those individuals who have progressed enough to appreciate the transformative concepts offered. Their efforts to assist our coming of age take many forms, but one aspect includes clearing the air of falsehoods, half-truths, and misinformation about who we really are, where we came from, and where we are going. To accomplish this task, Oahspe begins with a history of our planet for the past 24,000 years and more, tracing events that occurred not only on Earth, but in the heavens surrounding the Earth during that same period of time. Oahspe states that corporeal events are much more influenced by events in the spirit world than the other way around. And this is due in part to the fact that those who have crossed into the world of spirit are by nature still able to perceive and influence the corporeal plane, while those who are still in corporeality are much less able to even perceive conditions in the spiritual dimension of existence, let alone influence it, thus saying, "As above, so below." Oahspe symbolically highlights this principle by physically arranging the text so that history on the spirit plane is superimposed above history on the corporeal plane during the same time cycle. For example, the book of Oahspe appears above the Lord's first book, covering heavenly and earth history over the same time period. The book of Oahspe is read first, followed by the Lord's first book. Heavenly history is then picked up again by jumping ahead to the book of Su, and so on. Oahspe states that the Creator, and there is but one, regardless of the name you wish to use, made humanity to be co-creators and helpmates in an ever-unfolding universe. Each and every one of us is a new and pristine creation at the moment of conception. All of us are given a spark of the ever-present at that moment that makes us very much a part of our Creator, who is the essence of all life and all that is, was, or ever shall be. Though our awareness of life in spirit is clouded by the influence of our physical bodies and our necessity to deal with the physical environment through limited physical senses, we are actually spiritual beings here and now. This means that we are already residing in the dimension of spirit, thought, and mind, even though we are melded for a moment with the physical frame in the corporeal dimension of existence. Just as a fetus resides in a womb, which is the ideal environment in which to grow until it is strong enough to subsist on its own, our spirit is at first housed in a corporeal body until it is strong enough to subsist on its own in the eternal world of spirit. Consequently, the reality is that the spiritual beings that are the real us enter the spirit world at death as easily as standing up from a chair, because the essence of our beings already resides in the dimension of spirit, thought, and mind, even though that reality is not apparent to us. In other words, at the moment of death, we do not go anywhere because we are already there. We do not leave our physical body. Our physical body leaves us like a discarded shroud that is no longer of any use. We begin where we left off, unchanged, except for the renewed perfection of our spiritual bodies, and with the same consciousness as before. Until then, it is only the temporary dullness of our spiritual senses caused by the influence of our physical shells that belies that reality. All of us, regardless of who we are or how miserably we may have failed in life, are actually future angels in embryonic form, destined for an eternal life that progresses through endless realms of growth and experience. Even those unfortunates who died in infancy are never lost. Each of us is already an immortal soul from the moment of conception, the moment when the Creator's presence brings into being a new, eternally enduring, self-conscious soul. Each infant is nurtured in spirit, growing through childhood into mature adulthood, just as it would have had it remained in the mortal realm on earth. Even though it lost the experience of corporeality in that process, its development remains happy, strong, and wholesome, nevertheless, a fact that can be a comfort to mothers who grieve. Our growth and experience, however, starts here on earth, and like all true progress, it is never an easy path, nor attained without a struggle. The history handed down in the text of Oahspe clearly illustrates this point and shows that earthly events are not as much random products of chance as they sometimes appear to be to us. Our development and growth have been monitored and guided by our Creator and by the Creator's high-raised angels, in whose charge the ever-present has placed our care. Oahspe concludes with several doctrinal books that give us guidelines that we may choose to live by to further our own progression. It finally gives a glimpse of our future in the Book of Shalom, which, using a parable, describes what the society of the future will be like, though the actual details of how it arises and how it may develop depend on circumstances that may vary substantially from place to place. If you are able to comprehend Oahspe's mind-expanding perspective on the universe that we inhabit both now and in an eternal future, and if you are able to free your mind of the shackles of the limited teachings of the past, it will bring you to a state of understanding that will change your life. You will never see the earth, its people, or the stars above your head in the same way ever again.